of the spookiest, scary stories you'll ever read. This one is titled The Little Girl Who Wasn't, from Lady Sparrow, and all of these are from Jezebel, the website. Okay. Are you ready? I lived in a house from hell for 4 years, from age 11 to almost 16. There was constantly something happening, doors flying open and shut, voices and footsteps. Nothing ever stayed where you put it. I was alone there a lot because both my parents worked and I was constantly terrified. One of the most gut-wrenching, gut-level disturbing things, though, was a little girl in my bathroom. Every time I walked past my bathroom door, which was constantly since it was right outside my bedroom, I saw a little girl with blonde curled hair and a rose-colored dress. She just stood there staring, looking like a photograph from 1905. I started keeping the door closed so I could walk by without seeing her, but she was always there when I opened it. Once I stepped past her, I couldn't see her anymore, but I could still feel her there. She was scary, she scared me, but I felt really sorry for her because she was trapped there, just like me, but probably forever. As the years went by and things in the house continued to get worse, she started seeming darker. I started feeling like she wasn't really a little girl. I knew there was something ugly in the house, and I felt like it was presenting this sympathetic image to me. Then I started thinking I was completely losing my mind. One day when I was 14, I had a friend from out of town come stay with me for a week. I hadn't told her anything whatsoever about the house because I didn't think she would come if I did. Right after she got there, we were sitting in my room and she left to go to the bathroom. About a minute later, she walked back in with a puzzled look on her face and said, "So, there's a little girl in your bathroom." Yeah, she hangs out in there. Blonde hair, curls, pink dress? Yeah. You know, that's not really a little girl, don't you? I almost threw up. I was so relieved and terrified and excited and ready to run out of the house screaming. She wouldn't use my bathroom the rest of the week, and I started using it as little as possible without pissing off my parents, who did not want to believe. Eventually, we moved out, and I could not have been happier. I distanced myself from it mentally as much as I could. Then, when I was 18, I took another friend on a road trip to pack up a few things I'd left in the house. My parents hadn't managed to sell it and wouldn't for 5 more years. The minute we got on the property, my friend seemed uncomfortable. When we came around the bend in the long, steep driveway, he was completely white. I could tell something was wrong, but he insisted he was okay. So we got to work. After a while, he asked me to use the bathroom, and I directed him to mine. Not 20 seconds after he left, he came running back in, grasping for breath, and slammed the bedroom door behind him. He started babbling about a little blonde girl who isn't really a little girl. All of a sudden, he went dead still, looked me in the eye, and very solemnly said, "She's not happy with you. You left and you weren't supposed to." We threw whatever we could grab in 2 trips in my car. After I walked him to another bathroom and waited outside the door and got the fuck out of there at top speed. Oh, Jesus. Okay, this one's called Photographic Memories from Annie Bananas. I grew up in New Mexico and was always very into the outdoors, hiking, camping, rock climbing, etc. One summer when I was 19, I went on a 4-day, 3-night camping trip near my parents' house on my own. Might sound weird, but I had been to this area many times and it was quite safe. Anyway, I bought my camera and took lots of pictures. I came back and developed my pictures, my film. There were 3 extra pictures that I didn't take of me sleeping, 1 each night. None of my stuff was missing or stolen and nothing happened, but it freaked the hell out of me. Okay, this one's Losing Yourself in China from Nilly. So when I was barely 20 years old, I was traveling with a small group of people through China, and we were spending about 2 months in Shanghai province, which used to be part of Tibet. Our destination was a specific town to teach English, but we'd been stopping often in towns and small cities along the way. One day we arrived in a rural town, very small, nothing unusual. We spent only a couple of days there shopping for food at the markets and walking around to see the sights, although there weren't many. This was dead in the winter, in February, and all the grass on the hills and plains around the town was dead and brown. The overall feeling was that of a normal kind of bleakness that any rural place has in the winter. At this time in my life, things were going amazingly, extraordinarily well for me, and I say that because my teenagehood had been rather darkly overcast. But the overwhelming good luck of being able to travel and these close friends I'd made in the last year had more than changed my feelings and attitude towards life. It was like I was a whole new person. I was ecstatic to be in Tibet and went to sleep with a smile on my face every night. On our second day staying in the small town, I woke up feeling a little odd. Not bad, just odd, like my normal thoughts and feelings had been turned down low, like on a dial. We all decided to go for a walk on the hills right behind the town, where there was a small summit with a pile of rocks and some prayer flags. To be honest, there were little altars like this on every other hill, but it gave us something to do. As we hiked up the hills behind the town, I started feeling stranger and stranger. I wasn't scared and I didn't feel angry or any strong emotion. In fact, it was like emotion was trickling out of me somehow, and I was getting blanker and blanker, emptier and emptier. It's so poetic. My mind started feeling a little hazy, and more I felt like I simply didn't care about anything. A small and rapidly dwindling part of myself started to panic, knew that something bad was happening, but it was like my own inner voice was slowly getting quieter and quieter. They're sucking her soul. I remember we reached the little summit and I simply sank to the ground next to the pile of rocks. Without meaning to, I started tuning out the voices around me and fixed all my attention on the little pebbles in the dirt. I began tapping one against the other repeatedly. Do you know the kind of horror that is opposite of feeling scared or feeling anything at all? The kind of vacuous hideousness of a fly buzzing against a closed window for hours on end in an empty room. That's what was filling my mind. It was demonic in its meaninglessness. That's deep. I touched my face and I felt that I was grinning at nothing. Through all the emptiness, a thought floated to the forefront of my mind. You should just die. At first, it sounded reasonable, but something in me fought it, and I was momentarily troubled. Right then, my group started to walk down from the hill, and I followed. The further we walked, the more normal I felt, until we left the town that afternoon, and I was totally freaked out. When another girl, Hannah, mentioned in an odd, offhand way that she had very strange feelings and was depressed while staying there, I told her that I had felt the same. When the group leader mentioned that a local had told him that the town had been plagued with the rash of young women under 25 committing suicide, Hannah and I went white. Okay, this one is called What the Dog Knew from Aeon Flux 072. In my old apartment, my dog would on occasion look down the hallway towards the bedroom from the living room and growl for no apparent reason. My dog does that too. But never mind, just whatever. Also on occasion, when I was sleeping in the bedroom, I would wake up with her staring intently at the door and growling. She was a big girl, 140 pounds of Great Dane, Catahoula, and Slobber. So I'm there for a couple of years of this, thinking, okay, my dog has a good imagination. Wrong. One night, I woke up due not to my dog growling, but barking for all she was worth, and not at the door. She was barking straight at me. I opened my eyes pretty much instantly, and there was a blur of light leaning over me very close. Certainly less than 6 inches from my face. You guys, my mom told me, she's originally from Mexico, and she told me that one time she was in the bathroom and she saw like a light and it scared her, so she ran out of the bathroom like she didn't finish peeing, and she thought it was a guardian angel, but this is making me think something else. I gotta tell her about this story. Anyway, side note. It was not distinguishable as a person. It more resembled a person-sized version of a colorful nebula you might see a picture of in a science magazine, 3-dimensional and all. I immediately got the distinct impression that this thing had been watching me sleep, for God knows how long and how many times before. For all the clarity of that distinct feeling, I had no sense of what it wanted, whether it was malevolent or just curious. I flipped right the fuck out, jumped backwards to the other side of the bed, too terrified to scream, and that blur of light receded and disappeared over the course of about 3 seconds. My dog was going absolutely ape. So shortly after, I asked the building manager if anybody had died there before. She investigated that and came back to me a couple of weeks later with a yes. A woman had died of a drug overdose in that apartment in 1995, so 12 years earlier, shortly after having her child removed from her custody because of her addiction problems. My dog still did growl at the hallway from time to time, but I never saw it again. I moved out about a year later. I've had other encounters, but this thing was literally inches from my face, watching me sleep. I'm getting shivers now just writing about it. Oh, that was... I want to see a light too, but I'm scared. I don't want to see it at the same time. I just want to touch it. Okay. There's something on the stairs from Snarky Chew. So when I was a kid, I would race up the top of the stairs as fast as I could, like it was some sort of silly game. Well, I must have been 5 or 6 at the time, I'm not sure, but I know I was very little. Somehow, along the way, a voice at the top of the stairs started to whisper at me. It would make bets with me, such as, I bet you a penny you couldn't make it to the top of the stairs. I don't really think there was a certain amount of time or anything. As I said, I was very little, so I probably didn't have any counting abilities anyway. I recall just sitting at the top of the stairs having conversations with this voice about the betting. Eventually, the voice, it was like a whisper of a man's voice, not my own voice in my head, started to bet me my life. Instead of pennies, it'd say, I bet you your life you couldn't make it up the stairs, blah blah blah. So I just finished the rest of the story on my own, and what happened was that his brother also experienced the same thing, and they didn't know that each other had felt the same way or had heard the same voice. The voice was betting their lives on it and whatever, and it was just creepy because they both had barely told each other that they heard that voice, and it's just creepy. Anyways, I'm gonna end this right here, but I hope you liked it. Let me know how my volume was. I'm still trying to work this out, so I hope that you like it, and I'll see ya sometime soon.